Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing some blackberry picking. So come along with me. I'm going to take you to all the great spots around my property where the blackberries grow. So here in East Texas, and I think most of Texas, blackberries just grow. You don't have to plant them. They're just kind of nature's gift. And you can find them along the edges of your property, around trees. They really just like to grow where they're growing kind of along something. So check all those areas. Usually around in the early spring, I'll begin to see like these white flowers popping up over my bushes and things. And those are the blackberries that are going to be growing. So as you can see, I'm picking some here. I picked the black ones. You can see there's red ones, but those are just not ripe. So you may think they're raspberries, but really they're just blackberries that haven't ripened yet. The blackberries will come off the stems very, very easily. So go ahead and just pick those. I can remember going blackberry picking with my neighbor. She loved to do this. So I learned kind of about this when I was little. I remember blackberry picking with family and things like that. But as I grew older, I got a little house. It was a little cottage, and my neighbor, she loved to go blackberry picking in the spring. So she would often invite me to go blackberry picking with her. She knew all the great spots around our little circle. And so we would pick a bunch, and then she would make blackberry pie. What I'm going to show you in this video is how to make blackberry cobbler. It's a very simple and easy recipe. This is a recipe my husband taught me. He had learned this from his mother. So I'm going to show you a really simple and easy way to make blackberry cobbler that's going to bring you right back home to childhood. Okay, so if you've ever been blackberry picking or you have these sorts of memories, comment down below or leave me a like right now. So to make the blackberry sauce, I'm going to need at least a pound of blackberries. So I'm trying to aim for a pound, but most likely I'm going to end up with a couple pounds. There's just so many blackberries around. So here are my blackberries so far. This is how much I've collected so far. It's quite a bit. I think about a pound already. So let's keep looking. Let's walk over here. This is a little bit closer to my office, a little bit further into my yard. There's a bushy kind of area where there are some blackberries. There's Sarah. She loves to hang out back here. It's near the pond, and she actually loves swimming. So say hi to Sarah. She looks pretty dry right now. I think she's just kind of hanging out. Okay, so over here around these trees, sometimes I see some blackberries growing. You can see there's a couple little red ones, but there's not very many black ones. I don't get too many around the trees, but I do get a lot in those bushy areas and around my pond. The ones around my pond are still really tiny. But so I'll go ahead and harvest the ones that I can right now. In about a couple weeks, the ones along the pond will probably be ready. So I'll get to do this twice. So you can your blackberry sauce. And so that's probably what I'm going to do. You can use your blackberry sauce for different things like pancake syrup and just anything you want to add some blackberry sauce to. Okay, y'all, so over here by the bush that I'm telling y'all about, there is a lot of honeysuckle growing. So there is this fragrance of like just sweet, like flowery smell. It smells so good over here. So it's just a wonderful day, and I love this time of year. It's just, it's just so wonderful. Anyhow, this is one area that gets a ton of blackberries. And so I've already kind of picked quite a few here. We'll go ahead and just look through and see if I missed any. It looks like there's some here and there. So let's go ahead and just pick those. The birds like to get the blackberries as well, but they don't seem to get very many because I always find like a ton of blackberries. This other spot here next to the boat is in the trailer kind of area, has a lot of blackberries as well. So we can't really put our mower back in here. So this kind of area grows wild, and there is tons of blackberries in there as well. And there's some in there, like I say, that are still pretty young. So probably in a couple weeks, I'll get to harvest blackberries once again. So I am just picking those. And as you can see, there's some red ones in there that I'm not going to pick. I'm just going to leave them. I have tried growing raspberries, but that hasn't really taken off yet. I planted a raspberry bush about 2 years ago, and it's hard for me to even really tell where it's at. So I'm not sure if it's still there. So I don't know how raspberries are. If you are able to grow raspberries, comment down below, especially if you're in Texas. Let me know how that is, because I don't think my raspberries have really taken off, but we love to eat raspberries and buy raspberries at the grocery store. So it would be awesome to get some raspberries, throughout the year at some point. Okay, so I'm picking quite a bit of blackberries. I think I'm going to make my goal of 2 pounds of blackberries. If I get 2 pounds of blackberries, I'll get to fill up a whole mason jar, not the small one, but the bigger ones. So that'll be perfect. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that. Okay, so that is all I'm seeing in this area. Let's move on back just a little bit here and see what we see. Blackberry picking is great for your eyesight. You gotta just look for those black ones. So it's a fun little activity to kind of ground you into this moment. So this is a blackberry bush that's closest to my office. This one is usually filled with blackberries as well. And I don't think like the critters really get to them very often, because the blackberries in this area are really, really big. And you might see the honeysuckle throughout. It's kind of like a vine that's covering the bushes over here. So it smells really good. Anytime I'm sitting out, when I make my videos in my office, it smells so good. There's a little tiny porch area that I often film videos at, and it is just like really nice to sit out there because it's right next to this bush and it smells so good. I almost thought they were gardenias when I realized they were just honeysuckle. Okay, so a lot of different things grows here. Oftentimes I find a lot of different mushrooms, so I like to mushroom hunt. That's another thing that I like to do. And every time I find a new mushroom, I take a picture. And I've collected quite a bit of mushrooms between this property and our other property that we acquired where I plan to do retreats. So there has been a lot of mushrooms in this area. I think East Texas is known for mushroom hunting as well. They have a big mushroom festival, I think in Madisonville, Texas. And so it is kind of a big thing over here. All right, so there is, blackberries everywhere. I'm just looking for those black ones, and every time I find them in this bush, they're always so much bigger than the other ones. So this is a really healthy bush, and there's the honeysuckle. So I'm not really worried about seeing like snakes or anything. Sometimes I am. In certain areas you have to watch out around the berries. But this bush, usually my dogs really like to play around here. So I'm not really too worried about it. But, if you do have wild blackberries growing, watch out for snakes and things within the bushes. That can happen. I've never encountered it, but it's something to watch for, especially if you're, foraging blackberries in the wild. Do y'all forage any other plants or, anything like that? Comment down below. I would love to know. I'm very curious about getting maybe a foraging book and learning about the different plants and things in my area. I joined a Facebook group about foraging in East Texas, and I've learned quite a bit just from that group so far. I think in my last video or my last few videos, I talked about this one plant that tastes like celery, and it's just like this big kind of thorny plant that grows everywhere. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm thinking about possibly trying it. But I love to know which plants are edible and which ones are not and all of that. Especially living out here in the country and spending so much time outside, it's always good to know that. And if anything ever happened and we had to live off the land or anything like that, that would be really good information to know. So as you can see, there is so many blackberries all around. And y'all, if you are getting tired of watching me picking blackberries, go ahead and fast forward the video a little bit, because I will be showing you how to make the blackberry cobbler. So the blackberry cobbler is something that we do every year as well. It's a yummy treat that we often look forward to. I used to do strawberry picking, not in my own yard, but there's a farm called Froberg's Farm in Texas where every year I would take my daughter strawberry picking. And we would pick strawberries, and at the end of it, once we came home and washed all the strawberries and everything, we would always make strawberry shortcake. So this is the same sort of thing. We pick blackberries all over the place, and at the end of the day, we make ourselves a blackberry cobbler. And this is a really simple, easy way to do it. So you can really make it, you know, within 30 minutes or so, you have your blackberry cobbler. So there is a lot of blackberries here. I'm thinking that I will be using the rest of the syrup for like pancakes and waffles and things like that. If you have any ideas of anything else I can use the blackberry syrup, comment down below. I would love to know new ways to use my blackberry syrup. There's so many blackberries over here, y'all. You can see my gloves. I'm like have these little burrs all over them. Blackberries have like thorns. It's like a really thorny area. And so if you're not wearing gloves or something, you're going to get kind of scratched up and maybe even get a thorn or two. If you have picked blackberries, you probably have memories of getting stuck by the thorns. So I just wear these kind of gardening gloves, but you can see all the burrs are starting to stick to my gloves. But at least I'm not getting pricked or, you know, scraped or anything by the thorns, because when I don't have them, by the end of the blackberry picking, my hands are all scratched up. So I think we're getting to the end of what I'm going to pick today for blackberries. And then we're going to just go ahead and head inside. And it's important to wash your blackberries. Even though you can see that I'm just picking the blackberries, there's little pieces of grass that get in there. But not just that, it looks like it's really clean and, you know, there's no bugs or anything. But usually every year when I bring them in to wash them, there is sometimes like a little stink bugs in them. Not very many, 1 or 2, but it's important to make sure that you clean them thoroughly and look through them. Here's Sarah once again, just kind of exploring in the backyard. She recently had a bath and her coat is so fluffy and it looks so good. She's getting ready to have a surgery soon, so I hope that she's just enjoying herself outside. It's nothing major, she just needs to be spayed. So here is all of the blackberries that I've picked so far. I think this is about 1.5 pounds. Okay, so we're back inside. Here are the blackberries and there is the pie crust. So what you're gonna pick up is just like regular pie crust like this, or you can make your own, whatever you prefer. But I just use this because it's super easy. It's already made. Say hi, it's Lucy down there, my other puppy. And so we're going to rinse off our blackberries really well. And if there's any blackberries that are not ripe or, you know, anything like that, go ahead and pick those out. You want to make sure you thoroughly wash these blackberries. Then you're going to get a saucepan on your stove and you're going to go ahead and put your blackberries in, 1 stick of butter and some sugar. You can find the actual recipe in my description, so go check that out for the exact measurements and recipe. So you're going to let that slowly kind of melt down on a low heat, and you can see how it's just very slowly melting down. And so you're going to leave that there. Meanwhile, you can bake your pie crust. You're just going to literally roll it out and bake it like a sheet. And so because what I'm going to do is kind of break it up and put it into my cobbler. You know, so that's going to be something I'll show you in a minute. But here are the rest of the blackberries. I'm adding in some more. So when you add in the butter and the sugar and all that, I hadn't added all of my blackberries. So I added some in later. You're also going to need some cornstarch, and that's going to thicken up your blackberry sauce. You're going to let it kind of simmer, but not really boil. It was getting a little too hot there. And eventually it's going to look something like this, almost like a jelly, a little bit thick, but not too thick. It's still runny enough that you can, you know, pour it over something. So I took my blackberry sauce and I went ahead and canned it. And there is the pie crust. So what you're going to do is just break up the pie crust into a bowl. And you're going to scoop a scoop of ice cream in and then pour your blackberry sauce. I like a lot of blackberries, so like the actual, not the sauce, but the actual blackberry part. So I put a bunch of blackberries in mine with the sauce, and that is it. You go ahead and eat it, and it's delicious. Thank y'all for coming along. If you like this video, give me a like, and please subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.